Hi folks and welcome back to the channel, Lee here. So I've seen one of those stories in the news where it's like, I've had a thought about something and then there's almost immediately been a story that's kind of played into that point, if you know what I mean. And I feel that there's been a news story recently that has really kind of highlighted some of the stuff that I was talking about in a previous video. So what I'm talking about is the Scottish exams, the SQA exams, and basically the scandal that seems to be surrounding those at the moment. And so to kind of give a bit of background to anyone that's maybe not from Scotland who's listening to this, because I do think there's points to be made about education in general with this one. So basically what's happened is, obviously with what's going on this year, the schools have been closed and the exam season wasn't able to go ahead this year. So basically you've got all of these kids that were due exams this year, this summer, and they've not been able to do them. So the SQAs had to try and devise a way to essentially predict what they would have gotten in the exams without doing the exams. And initially, what people thought the SQA was going to do with this was to look back in the prelim results and basically take those and maybe some of the work they'd done in the first couple of months of the year when the schools were still open, and then just kind of aggregate it together to try and come up with a way of predicting how that pupil would have done that in this year. Um, Now it's looking as if they've actually not done it that way. They've actually done it based on like the school's own performance last year, like overall. Now I don't actually want to dive deep too much into the method of how they done it, right? Because one, I think like that's not really the point that I want to make, and two, I think no matter what way they would have done it, I think it wouldn't have been perfect no matter what way they would have done it, because like to give some context to the prelims, right? The prelims are basically like they take place October, November, and basically what it is, it's like a mock exam, basically. So for people in fourth year especially who've never done an exam before, they've never sat in an exam hall, it gives them like a taste of what to expect and what they need to do when they go into the exam hall, and also gives them a kind of basic idea of what they might expect to get in an exam, for any particular subject or whatever that they're doing. So obviously they were able to do those because that's before the situation happened, but obviously they've not been able to sit the main exams. So the idea was that they were going to take the results from those. Now, I didn't do well in prelims, right? I done terribly in prelims. Like I failed or got an extremely disappointing pass in all of my prelims. So if they'd have base, if I was a student today or a pupil sitting my exams and they were basing it on prelim results, I would have failed everything. So, but what the prelims served to do for me was they gave me a scare. I put a bit more work in, and I went into the proper exams prepared. And I didn't get like straight A's or whatever, but I done okay. But if they were basing it in prelims, I would have failed. So I think they were stuck between a rock and a hard place. I think no matter what they done, it would have maybe not failed, but it would have let people down to a certain degree. There might have been better or worse ways to do it, but there wouldn't have been a perfect way. So, and number three, I've not read massively into it. Like I've seen the headlines, I've read a little bit, but I've not like deep dived into like loads and loads of different news articles or whatever about it. But I want to talk about, like, I've seen so many comments and so many news stories that have went something like this. My child had a dream and now it's ruined. My child's life is ruined now because of this decision. my child's life is now ruined because they got bad grades in an exam that they weren't even given a chance to sit. And I feel like, I definitely feel for these people. Obviously, it's probably not the best news you'll ever get in the world to know that, you've not passed an exam that you maybe needed to get into university or, college or, something that you might have wanted to get into. But I don't see anyone asking, like, why should an hour or two in an exam hall or an exam season, why does that have so much bearing on the rest of your life? Because it's absolutely silly. It shouldn't. Like, okay, like, you get into an exam, you fail, it's not good, but it shouldn't ruin the rest of your life. And in practice, like, it usually doesn't. Like, I mean, usually, like, okay, like, you maybe not get exactly what you want, but, like, there's still, in my opinion, there's still so many ways you can do things, even if those, maybe don't go to plan. So I suppose the first thing I would say is, if you didn't get exactly what you want, like, there's still hope. You know what I mean? Like, I know plenty of people that have done really well for themselves, even though they didn't do so well, like, in academia and education. So, that's the first thing I would say. But also, like, I don't think, I think there needs to be far more of an emphasis on, like, continuous learning or project based learning, because, you know, obviously this is a unique situation that's happened, but it's really highlighted the fact that, we put so much emphasis into this one process, and, like, it's really fragile. Like, it just shows quite how fragile it is, like, if you're going to be basing someone's entire future on this stuff. So I think this is an opportunity to look at the whole system of, like, doing exams and say, do we really need this so much? Like, because I can't go in depth into, like, every single subject, like, I just don't have the time, and I don't know enough about the subjects, like, there might be some subjects out there that really need an exam process, so that's not for me to say that they don't. But I think exams in general should be a far smaller component of education and learning than they are just now. Because it's obvious that, as I says, like, how fragile it is, and it's really just a case of, like, you go into that hall, and if you can remember as much information as possible, then you'll do well in the exam. And I don't think that's necessarily the hallmark of an intelligent person. Like, I don't think that's the only metric of intelligence, like, I think we'd benefit far more from having a far smaller emphasis on exams and a far greater emphasis on projects, on continuous learning. So I think people have got the right to be upset if it looks as if this has been done poorly and it could have been done better. And I think so far it's looking like it might have been. There might have been. It might be the case that it could have been done better, but I think there's, like, bigger questions that need to be asked here at this stage. Are we teaching people properly? Are we really equipping people to deal with the problems that we're going to deal with in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years? Because, there's no shortage of them, So, yeah, that's basically, like, my thoughts here. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but, I've tried my best. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you hated it, leave a dislike. If you agree with me or disagree with me or have any unique thoughts of your own, then please do comment down below. And if you think you'd like my content in the future, then please do subscribe. Bye, folks.